Remember the passion you felt doing that particular thing you always loved to do when you were a kid? Whether it was to laugh or to love or to explore, to play or create. Those passions weren't just you being a kid. They were gifts of clarity. They're the desires of your heart authentically expressed. Hi, I'm Courtney Cole, and this is the Love Freq podcast where we remember who we really are and what we've come to this planet to create. It's here we make a choice. Love or fear. It's here we choose to vibrationally realign ourselves with the truth of our essence, love, 528 hertz, the love frequency, which therefore allows us to realign with conscious healing, authenticity, and creativity. Don't freak out. This is your true nature.
What's up, guys? I hope that you are having a lovely week thus far. Thank you so much for being here once again and for continuing to listen and for showing up with me to learn and dive deeper within ourselves and grow beyond what we've come to know about this world. It means the world to me that you're here with me, alongside of me. You have no idea. I am super excited to get rolling today on the podcast. I've been on fire with all of these discussions that I've been having with all these incredible people, and I'm ready to keep it going. So here we go. Here we go. Imagine every day being your absolute best day. Can you imagine that? Imagine being able to wake up and knowing your day was going to be great no matter the events that transpire. How would that change your daily, your weekly, your monthly, your yearly outlook if each day was able to be your best day? Well, we are about to find that out. Today is the day that we can find that out. I'm bringing you one of my best friends and the founder of the lifestyle and clothing brand Another Best Day. His name is Brett Hughes. And Brett is one of the most gifted guys you'll ever meet. Give him any task and he will do his absolute best to make it awesome. And I swear to you, he will deliver every single time. He's an entrepreneur, growing businesses left and right through brand partnerships. Like, he's the ultimate connector. He knows everyone, I swear. He's a college All-American and national lacrosse champion and a 10-year professional athlete, all which led him to develop an organization called Lacrosse the Nations, which gives children in need the opportunity to play the sport, but also the ability to learn important life skills to give them hope and opportunity. He's a big service guy, and he's a big traveler, which led him to develop this brand in particular, Another Best Day, while volunteering in Nicaragua. Brett, you are a force, my friend. I'm so happy that you're here today.
My hype girl. I need to bring you along and have you introduce me just going into random meetings.
I like that. I'll be your hype girl. Come on. Everybody needs a hype person, right? So can you tell us just a little bit about Another Best Day? I kind of did a brief synopsis, but can you give us the overall view, how it started and where it is today?
Sure. So first off, I'm the co-founder. I always want to make sure that that is established because it wouldn't be what it is without the other side of it. A guy named David Campbell, who was on my first trip. So where Lacrosse the Nations was founded was out of Managua, Nicaragua. And in our trip down there, David and I met. And just one of those moments where you're like, where have you been? We were supposed to meet a long time ago, but how cool is it that we met here? Because we're so like-minded and also have such a cool yin and yang. And really what happened was we spent 10 days down there on our first trip. And when you come home from trips like that, you're just amped, right? You're trying to figure out how to help. You're trying to listen more than anything, trying to be invited into conversations. And all of it, when it works, leads to this just incredible, overwhelming feeling of joy, right? Where you just feel like every day you wake up and it's this purpose. It's not easy, but you're just excited. And we were flying home to kind of skip through some of the story. because the story in between there is Lacrosse the Nations for another time. But David and I were on a flight home, and DCAM looks at me, and we were just like, how do you keep this going? Like, we don't want to leave this down here. Like, we woke up every day, and it certainly wasn't easy. David got the name the Cabeza because he split his head on an air conditioning unit and had to go to a little hospital down the street that
That's horrible.
yeah, and just navigated his way through and had a bunch of stitches in like what looked like kind of just someone's bedroom, which was a little private hospital.
Oh no, that's not a good day.
None of it was in the way. It's like it became this story, his resilience through that, his ability to kind of. I remember the conversation when he came back, and we were kind of like, hey, listen, we've been going all day. We've been in this trash dump community that was, really hot, fires everywhere, emotionally just draining. And then something like that happens, and DCAM just kind of was like, wait, no, there's no choice here. We're going back in, we're going to help, we're going to serve. The community is there, and let's keep working with them.
Wow.
And so
that's impressive.
Yeah, and
that's really impressive.
I think it's really a big foundation to what when we were flying home and connecting, I think, in like Houston before we both went our separate ways, and we're like, let's just keep kicking this around. Like, why can't those views of the world? And it wasn't easy, and it wasn't simply the most relaxing. It was just, we were working towards something, and we ideated and shared emails, and I flew to Vermont. He was living in Vermont at the time. And we just kicked around this thing that kept us up all the time of like, what would you call it even if we just start there? And so it had a couple names and whatever, but then I forget who or how said it, probably late into the night. Something like, it's like, we're fighting for a best day. And, it's like every day we're just trying to, the pursuit of that is what was cool about Nicaragua. It wasn't easy, and we were figuring out a lot, but there was such beauty and fun in that. And it had all these elements. So another best day kind of came out of that. And
it came out of serving.
It did. I mean, I think
showing up.
I think so. Right. At least the conversation did.
Yeah. And so when you were in Nicaragua, like, what was it like there? You said that it was kind of like the slums a little bit, like not a great area. Like what were the people like? Like, were they inspiring? Were they what? Tell me.
I mean, all of those are yes, but then you start to shift your the way you look at it, right? Where you kind of come down there wanting to serve and help. And I find service is a word that often needs to be explained, because service is not to be confused with it's really meeting people where they are and allowing them to serve you, because that's truly what ends up happening. Is we're down there trying to help this community and finding ways, but we're the ones getting worked on every day, right?
Absolutely. And like service too, like I love your view on it too, but it's also like it's people showing up for each other, right? It's like you're serving, you're going down there just to show up as you. You know what I mean? It's like you don't even have to try. You're just showing up as you to serve the best way that you can. And everybody's going to have their individual way that they serve differently. That's going to be helpful and useful. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I just think service is a neat thing. Just it like a natural thing,
Well, I think it's a great way to travel. If it's pure, it puts you in a really cool spot to learn. And you mentioned the outward nature of where we were, which was called La Chureca, and it's since shut down to some degree, but it was a trash dump community. And so one of the guys we were down there with did a really good job of kind of saying, like, we be careful to look at this with the correct bifocals, right? Because while financially and these people are living, working, eating in a trash dump, it's why we really got started trying to find ways to serve this community. But the people and their life was beautiful, and they had joy, and they had family, and they cared about people, and the circumstances made them make some bad choices at times, and and they needed help. But what they needed is help with respect to the fact that they have a lot figured out that we don't. Because
I'm curious to know what those things are.
yeah, it's well, think about if you could wake up and be 9 years old and or 12 years old and be working in a trash dump, literally with fires all around you, picking up trash to sell for next to nothing, to go home to a house made out of, you know, 10 roof from the trash dump, but still have joy, still understand, still play with, play sports and skip the rock down the creek or do whatever it was, love their family, laugh. We get consumed sometimes where, like, my buddy always said, like, we have our own trash dumps, right? We just, maybe it is money and success and things, and we're consumed by those, and it looks different because maybe you've got a big house, maybe you've got a nice car, but they're pure, and they still are. Just so they teach me every time, and we now exist in two communities there, one in Panama and one Colombia, and it's always a lesson both ways. And so I feel like we're always careful to make sure that there's so much that can be taught with the basics of life, which is really what those people were limited to, and they deserve more. But amazing to see, just, we hear about, like, COVID's a bad example because it's a real thing everyone's going through, but people get like seasonal depression after a week of snow. There's
Right.
probably another way.
I do.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, and I'm not judging any of that, actually. I'm just more saying that, like, imagine being able to wake up in that, like, people get mad about a bad hotel. People, like, we spend a lot of time kind of thinking about what it could be, and to see them, I'm sure I know that there's ambition there, but it was amazing to just see, like, oh God, we've got everything we need.
So, do you think that it's almost like having more stuff and having more things surrounding us, more money and everything, like it really just feels like it blocks us from a lot of truth and stuff because we just want more. Like more stuff breeds more stuff, right? And then it just kind of separates us from just what actually is.
Yeah.
There's joy in every moment. There's so much, but when you feel like you're in lack all the time because you have so much stuff around you and you're judging, grass is greener always at the neighbor's house or whatever, it's hard to really see it.
Yeah, that's
Like
fair.
how, like, what do you think it is? Like, why,
Well,
where do you think
money.
these people are able to find? Yeah, but how are these people able to find like this hope and this pure joy when literally everything is just kind of chaotic and everything's in disarray?
Well, I don't know who the quote belongs to, but money really kind of like makes you more of what you already are. Now, you could probably point to a situation where it's not true, but if you have these thoughts and you don't kind of have kind of priorities and purpose aligned, and you just go out to make a lot of money, and maybe there's a part of you that kind of gets exacerbated. But if you do have that, there's a lot of people who make a lot of money who know why they make money, and it allows them to do more for people, right? The money is just it's just a tool to do more. And running a nonprofit, I see that every day. I see people of incredible means who have incredible values, and they know why they make money, and it's not to buy more stuff. It's to help more people to do more, and also they literally love what they do, and money is a byproduct. So if I flip that on its ear and go down to Nicaragua, in this community where nobody, maybe there's people probably making in the trash dump $1 a day, through the middlemen who collect the trash. And there's a lot of really negative, heavy stuff that goes on in that, as a byproduct of kind of the ecosystem built around those. And I encourage anyone to learn about it, because those are really tough worlds to live in. But I think the flip side is these people still understand like we're amazing creatures as humans who really, if Maslow's hierarchy to some degree is met, the building blocks of that are the people and the family and health, and some of those things are there and some aren't, and people are resilient, they're adaptive, and they're just, I've learned so much from that endeavor that's over 10 years old now, that has
Wow.
been remarkable. And like I said, it's the ethos to why David and I had this conversation that turned into Another Best Day, which, like us, is a little bit in metamorphosis to Another Best Day.
Right, right. It's such an amazing thing. And kind of like back to what you were saying, about, I feel like all of that stuff is relative, where it's like that negativity, like there's a lot, I'm sure those people, if they might have a lot of joy, they might have a lot of whatever, but they have days that are terrible. They know what's terrible, right? We know what's terrible. It's just kind of on a different scale. Like there's a lot of things that come with money, and there's a lot of things that come with our lives that make our days terrible. And we have trauma. They have trauma. Like everybody's going through their own stuff, just like through a different lens, right? So it's like
All valid.
almost, it's all super valid. But I'm just, I don't know. I just think it's interesting, like the whole thing with trauma and how, like you said, like I get mad because, I got yelled at some as a kid, and I go through certain traumas for that. And these kids are, like you said, coming home to a tin can with absolutely nothing, like the amount of trauma. It's like hard not to judge and
Yeah.
say, oh my gosh, like your trauma is so much worse. But it's just interesting, the human experience and how we're all learning something different. I don't really know what it all means, and if some of us are lucky and some of us just aren't, I don't know what it all means, but
Sure.
it's just interesting
I mean, we're shaped by our
that.
environment too, right? The conversations that we're privileged enough to have here are just not conversations that are necessarily going down in different areas, to get beyond Nicaragua. That they're not going on down the street from where you and I, collectively live here in Los Angeles. And, they say money is such a touchy thing because it's something that I don't see as evil. It's neutral, right? It's how you use it. And, but I do think that money is a way that you survive, but like people and experiences that's the way you live.
Absolutely. Just kind of through your experience and kind of what you learned from all of this, in your opinion, like how do we make every day great?
So I'm going to put a little asterisk on that. So
Okay, that's a tough
it
question.
is. And I don't know if that's the goal, because that goal is you're going to fail, right? Like every day can't be great. And a lot of that doesn't have to do with you. But Another Best Day, what we view it as is it isn't passive. It's not life is good, even though that nothing about the company. It's not the statement of life is good is it's passive, and this is kinetic, where I think about Another Best Day as a pursuit. And you wake up and listen, if I asked you what your best day was, and I said, don't limit it to one because you'll spend too much time trying to think of it. And there's so many best days that come up, right? You can't just pick one. Like I got married, that's 100% up there. But so was the day I met my wife. So was the day I won a lacrosse championship. But man, that got me thinking, the first time I ever scored a goal or play a game. And so best days should be collected, and they shouldn't be kind of parsed out to like the one ultimate one. And the other through line that I hear with everyone is it's never been the day that you just sat and got like a mudslide of pina coladas into your mouth at beside a pool, which was probably
That's a great day.
probably awesome. But a lot of the best days of our life, there's like bruises to show for it, right? And David, we worked for 12 hours in this community, and he split his head open, and there was just such joy in the conversation that night where he felt really taken care of. And those silver lining moments, man, those are my best days, where like there's a little, maybe there's fear that you overcome. Maybe there's people that are there that weren't typically there and just reminded you, like, man, it's really people and experiences, and kind of pushing yourself. And, I always think like one of my, I don't have a hero, but one of the people I really respected was Anthony Bourdain. And, you
Yeah.
know this from being
Yeah,
around.
gone too soon.
And,
Yeah.
he has a statement that says, like, without new ideas, success becomes stale. And I always took that as like a cool way to think about, once you attain something that you think is great, right? Like some guy who loves adrenaline jumps off and free jumps off of a Eiffel Tower. And then someone else he was like, man, that was awesome. And I really put so much time and effort to get mentally focused and mentally there. And someone like Felix Baumgartner says, well, I'm going to jump out of outer space.
That's
And
right.
he goes and does it.
That guy's crazy.
And that was
Yeah.
probably one of his best days, but I would be really interested to see how many best days he collected leading up to the moment where everyone's going to point to. But there were probably moments where he had breakthroughs that were so intense and amazing for him that by the time he jumped off of that, he was ready, right? Like the breakthrough, the work are all part of that. And I think that that's some of the best days with my wife were not the days we woke up and didn't have any argument, agreed on everything, and everything went perfect, and the house was somehow made. And it's times where we work through stuff together. So I think that is the root of a great day is a great day, but the pursuit of another best day allows you to get up and say, I feel like hell. But if I'm going to wear, as David always says, like, wear your worldview. I'm going to believe right now that my worldview is my back hurts and I lost my job, but that's just going to make your back hurt and your job loss feel terrible. And I think that it should. I'm not one of the people who's just going to say, like, be happy because happy people are happy. I'm going to say, like, yeah, that's valid, but what's the pursuit look like? You can
Absolutely.
ice your knee and then get back on the run. If you need to sit down for a second in the middle of a marathon, that's fine. It's a long run. So, but the idea, the pursuit of it is what I think makes another best day resonate with so many people.
Yeah, there's a thing I think, that there's this kind of like false optimism people have where it's like we're supposed to be happy all the time, and I think you can have too much optimism where it's like, I don't know, it just kind of covers up everything that's actually going on. People have this false optimism that they feel like they have to show so that they don't have to see the stuff that's kind of happening like super deep down.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're waking up every morning, you're going, oh, it's another best day, and you're not really taking in everything that's kind of going on within you, that it's just false. And we're not always having the best day. We are having things going on. People are suffering, people are dying, our loved ones are leaving. Like there's things that are constantly happening, but it seems like it's really just a choice. And it seems like just because something bad is going on doesn't mean that it has to be a bad day. I really believe that, challenge and struggle is really an opportunity for us to dive deeper into ourselves and to heal ourselves. And I think that's the pursuit, right? Because when we're able to heal those things, when we're able to face ourselves with kind of what is, that is the pursuit of that is leading us to kind of that next mountaintop moment, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
And sometimes, I mean, you were a huge part of my transition from Nashville to LA. For you guys who don't know, I actually lived with Brett and his wife Kate for like 3
We moved
months.
to Nashville, caught the fish, and then drug you back with us when we moved.
I know. Which, by the way, thank you. I still feel like I owe you
Now
like
you
all
got-
my
now you got 2
gratitude.
homes.
But that was a really hard time for me. I mean, there was a lot kind of going on in that time. And like in the moment, I was probably sitting there thinking, yep, these are not probably my best days. But looking back and seeing the healing and how much self-discovery and strength and bravery that I found within myself within those times, the healing that it just really pulled out of me, that led me to finding love for new things, finding new endeavors. It led me to this podcast. It's like those days that I thought were my worst days really are, looking back, are some of my best days. If I think about it, I'm like, God, what would have happened to me if I wouldn't have had those days?
Yeah. I remember conversations that we had where you were exhausted and not feeling like you were spending enough time pursuing the thing that you wanted to pursue because you had to meet these obligations. And, I remember you saying, like, and I don't want to, when you were living with us for that short period of time, you were the most self-sufficient roommate anyone's ever had, by the way. Like, there was a part of it that, like, there would be days where we wouldn't really, and by design, we wanted you to have a space. We didn't want you to feel like a guest, even though I'm sure that was impossible at some level. But I remember having conversations with you and seeing that, like, you found a new gear where you said, I got these obligations, I have to do this work. I really want to enjoy myself and indoctrinate myself to the beach and to, if I'm going to be out here and I'm going to go through all this, I want to watch a sunset. I remember you saying something like that. And I'm going to commit to that. And you know what? Like, I do want to meet some people out here. So I have to do that. And you're staying with a married couple who has, like, a group of friends that you're always welcome to, but you were pushed beyond that. And then you found another gear to say, like, I'm going to create a freaking documentary. And I remember you coming home being tired and then waking up the next morning, because I'm the first person up in every house, but you're up, you're at it. And I would just say that, like, in the moment, thinking about it, there were struggles, but, like, I never remember you being super, like, unhappy, like, in your soul. Like, you were tired, you were frustrated, but you had purpose. You were there for a reason, and we should all just be so lucky. Happiness is a happiness and joy and positivity. While I'm a big fan of all of them, sometimes I think the word is limiting when
It
language
only
is
takes you
limiting.
so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it only takes you so far, and there's a point in time where, yeah, people say fake it till you make it or whatever. And yeah, I'm a big believer in that. I fake it till I make it every day, right?
As long as you're,
try.
I'll cut you there. As long as there's someone, and I've been the recipient of this, and I know Kate has, and you have for me, and we know a lot of the same people. You can fake it, but you gotta be true to yourself, because if things are really wrong, like, you and I both agree that you should be talking to someone. You don't have to hide
Exactly.
that. Like, I agree. Like, you can wake up and have the belief that today can be amazing. Today can be another best day. Not to, like, another best day is such a cool statement, but I don't want to just, like, I'm not trying to shove it down your listener's throat, but just waking up and feeling the pursuit for purpose is good. It doesn't have to be your only pursuit that day, and it doesn't mean you didn't take steps forward. If at the end of the day you look back and you say, like, not my best, Brett.
Right.
You said the wrong thing to your wife. You just didn't do. You botched that thing at work, or you completely forgot your mom's birthday. But, like, were you trying? Were you present? Were you there? So I think you can fake it till you make it, as long as you're also being honest with yourself.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I was saying, just about, man, like, you can't hide who you are and what you need to heal and what you're going through under that unhealthy positivity. Like you said, it only takes you so far, And I mean, I feel like a lot of times I wake up in the mornings and I get stuck in these loops sometimes of, like, oh, I should have done this. Oh, I should have done that. Oh, I'm just so drained and nothing's going like the way that I want it to. And I'm like, how in the world in these moments can I have another best day? Or how can I, like, and I think what you're saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is like,
I want to ask you right now, put you on the spot.
Feel that way.
Yeah.
Feel that way and be there, because those things are kind of it's a choice and a mentality and a knowing of saying, okay, like I'm moving forward. I'm in the pursuit of building something great with my life,
Mhm.
but I have to feel where I'm at as well. That's leading me to those next moments.
And don't think that the cocktail or the pie has one ingredient, which is you, because it's a lot of you. It's a lot of, so, if I asked you, like, wouldn't take you long. If I said, give me 4 things you think you need to have another best day. It's a question.
Oh, is that my
Just give
question?
me one. Just give me one.
Okay. 4 things that I need. Um, Kombucha. No, I'm just kidding.
One. Like I said, there's a lot of ingredients.
um, Nature. Being out in nature. Particularly paddleboarding or hiking. Um, Quiet time
Mm-hmm.
and making music.
Making music. And so creating,
Creating, yeah.
being outdoors, exercising, being one with nature stuff. Quiet time, collecting your thoughts, learning who you are. I know you mentioned paddleboarding. There's a lot of times where I think you love paddleboarding by yourself, but I've also seen how cool that little community is that you paddleboard with. So people all boils down to these super fundamental things that we have, and so do the people in Nicaragua, right? Like another best day is really not waiting for the promotion, right? Like it's kind of promoting yourself to some degree to know that your friends, your paddleboard, the treat, most of the coolest stuff, and I think we're learning this in COVID a tiny bit under the umbrella of like, oh shit, this is
Yeah.
this is tough. I'm not making light of any of that. But I think we are getting back to the basics. And when I hear you talk and when I ask that to anyone, maybe they first rattle off, almost everyone says something like kombucha, right? It's like a winning lottery ticket. And then because you're like, yeah, and then just go one step. Oh man, I would love to like spend some time with my folks. Cool family, people. Like it really is. The ingredients are they taste different, and the cocktail's made a little different, but it's all kind of with the same 15
Basic
things.
needs.
Yeah, and I think those are important to tap into because the more you rely on those, the more the game is in your court. The more you rely on more of the external things, the more you're relying on things to go your way, money and fame and status and the right car and all these things that really like you're gonna like them, but they're not probably gonna change your life.
Right.
The more you can remind yourself that like another best day, your best day, your best for the people around you, the best I've almost ever felt probably is like if I wake up and I'm around good people and I have good coffee and I go and I do something at the end of the day that whether someone told me or not, I feel like I got moved in some way, like that. And if I want to be moved, that's usually connected to me serving, right? It's, or someone doing some random act of kindness to me, right? Like an unexpected gift at an unexpected time, I think is probably one of the most powerful things on earth. A gift of a word, a gift of a note, a gift of, an actual gift. I think those are the most powerful things, and all of them don't require much more than our presence and our attention to detail.
Gosh, that's good. That's a good word. Brett Hughes, my gosh.
Well,
with bringing the fire.
I woke up feeling, half miserable today. So, this is the point. Just, have so much work, have so many things. But then I thought about my day and I was like, how cool is it that while I don't want to be on Zoom calls from 8 till, I've got stuff after this, how cool is it that in the midst of this, I have a conversation I'm really looking forward to around a sport that has meant so much to me. I connect with a friend again about something business, but how cool is it that I get to talk to this person about business and help them out, and maybe there's a way to work. And then toward the tail end of my day, I get to do this with you, something that, like I appreciate so much of your energy and your heart and this, and like, okay, so I don't feel that great, but like, God, I could let this day slip away from me and I want to be my best. And so I didn't fake it. I let it sit in. and spent some moments being like, where's the gratitude here? You gotta find it, man. You know, take a
Wow.
shower,
And
ride your bike, do whatever. I start every morning with a walk with my dog in the park that's near our house.
Nola, the cutest dog ever.
So who's not allowed? She got kicked out.
Oh no.
But those
Are
are
you
moments where even when I'm tired or I didn't sleep, I'm a terrible sleeper. But by the end of a 35, 45, 1 hour walk, really at a really quiet park in the morning, I work through it. And then now I feel like, oh, cool. I'm where I want to be for this conversation. And maybe it took me, some days I wake up and I'm just like, it's on. And that is awesome when you have those moments. And
gotta
the
love
more
those
you
moments.
have, I'm impressed. But yeah, it just goes back to like, this is a pursuit. It's not passive.
Wow, I love that so much. And I'm gonna ask you a question, kind of shifting just to, I guess, the worldview of everything that's
Mm.
happening right now. I've been actually talking about this with a lot of other people that I've been interviewing too, just with the current state of everything. Where does another best day kind of fit in these times where a lot of people, really right now, I think a lot of us, some of us are living some of our worst days.
Mm-hmm.
How does that kind of fit in to kind of where we are now?
Well, I think the word is appropriately, right? Where once again, I don't want to act like this is some salve that we throw on things that to like minimize the weight of what's going on, right? Like in relation to what we're doing, which you mentioned a lifestyle and a clothing company. I kind of view Another Best Day as just an extension of Dave and I, which has grown beyond us. We always said, like it's kind of like we create it, you define it, right? Like
Mm.
it's up to you to understand how Another Best Day fits in your life right now. But I do think more than ever community is important because we are inundated every day with how different we are and how scared we should be versus how similar we are and how wonderful our differences can be.
Yes,
There's
100%.
far more good in our differences than there is fear and anxiety and terror. And there's far more similarities of what we're going through more than ever. I find it almost ironic is too light of a word. It's sad that we're all in something together for the first time outside of maybe the Olympics, right? Every 4 years that we're all kind of doing together.
Right.
But the Olympics is a lot more fun.
Yeah, it
But
is, isn't it?
but the Olympics is the perfect version of bringing us together. People who don't even like sports, families get behind and they watch this thing. The pandemic is trying to, the people in charge of it, worldly, are really focused in on our difference. Who's handling it better today? Who's handling it worst? How bad is it here versus how good is it there? Are they responsible? Who's responsible? When ultimately, I do think that the greater, outside the kind of stream we get, most of us are like, probably have never been more similar. We're just relying on like, when's it gonna end? When can I go see my grandma without being worried? When, like, I don't care who comes up. I don't care who comes up with the salve that fixes this, the treatment, the vaccine. Like I'm praying for the whole world right now that someone does it. So like, it's crazy to me. I look at it and say, we've never been on one team more in our life. And yet we are being propositioned to think the exact opposite.
Wow.
And I see the good in that without allowing me to also say like, God, I wish I could go and get a beer with you guys. Like the fact.
Absolutely. God, we missed
Yeah,
that.
and the fact that, but I do feel like we've had to be creative. Kate and I, with her parents out here, we've had to, limit what we do, and it's a necessary sacrifice so that we can go visit her family and feel good about that we're doing the proper thing. So it allows you to just kind of, once again, kind of look at each day and say, okay, cool. I'm going to sit on this couch probably. And
Right.
so I might as well do some work, and I might as well connect with people, and I might as well be a little more present, because I can't go do a lot of the other stuff that I typically would kind of fill my time with. And I think it's really valuable for all of us to understand that this is terrible. I'm not making light of it, but I also think it's really, really the most perfect time to look and be like, man, everyone's kind of going through this together. And I don't know if we've ever been in that point.
Right, but I think this is what you're talking about when you say this is the pursuit. You're
Mhm.
giving us a perfect example of the pursuit instead of getting lost in the negativity and the, all the stuff that we're being fed right now and the divisiveness. You're choosing to see it in a way of the togetherness and the similarities. And to me, that's the pursuit in the mindset,
Yeah. And listen,
right?
I get caught up in that wheel. I have very strong opinions on the whole thing, right? Especially
Same.
when it relates to, um, what's coming up in a couple weeks. Not to make
The election, I know,
so
I know, I
I,
know.
I, but I also like feel like people people deserve respect, and I can learn a lot more from talking to someone that I don't necessarily agree with. To a certain degree, there's points where it's just like, yeah, we're we're speaking completely different, not languages, but we're completely just in different language. And so I think that it's important for me to say also, like, I don't stick my head in the ground. I'm there. I see it. I have opinions, but also I don't know. And I came to this pretty quickly early on. I don't know what me getting too worked up on without, I find it that if I donate to something or that I support something, that helps me feel better versus kind of
Mhm.
stewing in it. And I just always try to remember that, like, even the people right now that I couldn't disagree with more on so many things, there's probably a lot of truth between us.
Yeah. But I love that you're choosing the oneness,
Yeah.
And I think that that's what the pursuit is like, okay, like, yeah, there is the division, there is all this stuff, but you're choosing the oneness. And to me, it's the pursuit of the mindset. And that's not the same thing to me as this like unhealthy positivity. It's choosing to see things as one,
Yeah.
choosing to see the good, choosing the good.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's an unhealthy positivity.
No, I mean, you're being honest with yourself. Like, that's a healthy start. The trick is that you hope the more honest you are, the more you learn about yourself, the more you kind of work through your stuff. The byproduct is probably the exhaust of that engine is more positivity. I'm almost positive, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah,
so
for
you're
sure.
kind of you're reworking it for the long haul versus kind of being like, I know I have to do this. I know I have to put on this face. I know, you know, I couldn't be a part of a brand that wasn't super honest on the other end, because like I said, yeah, I wake up and things are tough, or, I stub my toe and
Right.
it hurts, and it's allowed to hurt for a second. But the idea is to kind of like, is it broken? Things good? Cool.
Let
Did I stub my toe on a chair,
let
or did I kick someone? I got to make sure they're okay. And then okay, let's go. Let's move on, because there's a lot to do and there's not enough time.
Yeah, you just kind of let go into it a little bit. It's really, really, really neat. I love it so much, Brett. Seriously, what you're doing, I think, is really, really cool. I'm curious to know, like, what your ultimate goal is now with another best day moving forward. Like, you have a t-shirts that you're wearing. I always see the another best day. Yes, I know people can get those online. You can give all your deets here soon. We'll put in the descriptions. But I'm just curious, with the shirts and the brand, like, what do you want the world to know? What is your ultimate goal?
Well, right now, I think ABD has grown with us, right? It's grown with David and myself, and we've had different, for a while we were doing a bunch of content in the early days, a bunch of guest user generated guest bloggers, and always selling shirts with the idea that if you want to wear your worldview, we want to give you a place to do that. But I think for me, the most important thing for ABD right now is to hear about it from people, to email me at, brett@anotherbestday.com, or share it with our Instagram, that we have been notoriously bad on for the pandemic. But
Ew, aren't we all?
yeah, we just wanted to make sure that we weren't being tone deaf too.
Sure.
There's just a lot of things that needed our attention, but I think doing things like this, allowing people to understand that, like, right now, the most important thing is that we'd love to hear, see, share what your Another Best Day is. So hashtag Another Best Day is something that we, I just love hearing from the community, and it's so cool to see parents and kids and friends of ours and athletes, and we have had, from professional athletes to kids to people I haven't heard from in 20 years, kind of pop up in our Instagram feed and our inbox with a shirt on, or with just like no shirt on at all, no ABD merch anywhere to be seen, but just like, hey, I was thinking about this today, and I woke up and this happened, and I got this great picture, and hashtag Another Best Day. And that to me is what, if I could ask anyone to do anything, is like, let's just get out and try to like think about it. What is Another Best Day? I love it. You define it, right? Like we kind of built the walls, and I'm not here to tell you what it is or what it isn't.
I love it. And you're right on brand with the Another Best Day hashtag, bringing everybody together, sharing stories, showing everyone how similar we really are, in a sense of maybe our experiences look different, but we're all kind of having similar struggles. That it all ties back into certain words like insecurity or worthiness, or whatever it might be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And if you're interested in wearing some of these worldviews, where do you go to buy a shirt?
It's
Is it just anotherbestday.com?
And I'll put it out there to your listeners. Actually, we are in the process of potentially designing a few new shirts, and one of the coolest things for me is I've always had a brand and an idea, and we used to have a different style of shirt, and we kind of went back to the bare basics to really allow people to just wear it and not be I wish it didn't have so much color, or I wish it had more color. And so we went to the basics, and if there's anyone who would be interested in designing a shirt, that's
Boom.
we're going to pull a few over the next quarter or two, and put something up there. From it's time to hear back a little bit more.
I love that. So if you want to share your worldview on a shirt, design one, send it over to Brett, and people can contact you through Instagram.
Yeah, I think that's great. Mine is, what is mine, Courtney? You'll put it.
Yours is at B Hughes, right? Oh my gosh.
At Another Best Day, or at Brett Hughes 6.
Brett Hughes 6. Oh my gosh, you just made me brain fart. I was like, oh God, what is your Instagram?
Yeah, I think that maybe shows something good that I don't know. We don't know our Instagrams by heart, that I had to check.
We have our priorities straight. You get a gold sticker.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Brett, thank you so much for being on here today. Seriously, I love all that you do. I love you and Kate so much. You guys are just always such an inspiration to me. So thanks for being a part of the Love Freak and sharing a little bit of love with us today.
And Court, thank you. Like, your friendship has meant the world to me. And I said it before, but I want to say it on air, or video, or air video, both of them. This is awesome to watch you continue to grow and inspire people, and hopefully unlock some things in yourself. And this podcast has been so cool to watch you connect the dots and bring new voices into my life, and to, I think, hopefully everyone else. I think it's just such a cool perspective. So keep doing it.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot, especially coming from you. So thank you so much, Brett. And be sure to check out Brett and Another Best Day and continue in your pursuit to remember the things that are important in this life. I think they're a lot more simple than we realize. It's not about needing to be unauthentically optimistic. It's really just being where you are in the midst of your pursuit to where you're headed. So don't forget, you guys, the Love Freq podcast is now on Spotify, so you can listen there. And if you are a Love Freq regular and you'd like to help support in what we do each week, there's a link in the description where you can send a donation. So you can also send me a voice message too. So that's super fun. But until next week, guys, I hope you have another best day and another one after that. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Love Freq podcast. If you like what you heard, please subscribe. You can also follow me on Instagram at thelovefreq_. Don't forget, that's FREQ. Or to find out more information, you can go to www.thelovefreq.me. Look for a new episode every Tuesday.